Hello, angels. We're finally sort of back in a corner for an amazing reason. And if you're a longtime viewer, you know exactly what that reason is. It's time to shoot the worst list. Yep, every year around here, for pretty much as long as I've been doing this, we have been taking a look at all of the pop songs that came out in any given year and breaking down both the worst and then later the best of them. So, as usual, for the sake of consistency, I have always and will be continuing to use this metric for what defines a hit song, that being either a song that appeared on this year's year-end Hot 100 for the first time, or a song that at any point in this year was released in 2025 and spent 2 weeks inside the top 20 of the Hot 100. And that gave me a list of about 75 to 80 or so songs to choose from. And in that midst, there's some real stinkers. And believe me, we're going to get there, but I do want to highlight one stinker that did not make the list just by my own definition of what a hit is, that being the Forrest Frank song, Your Way's Better, which has been one of the biggest critical punching bags of the year. It technically did not qualify for my list. Otherwise, yeah, you'd definitely be looking at one of the worst hits there. So that's the eligibility criteria. That is the list of songs that I am picking from. We are doing the worst list first, as usual, to cleanse ourselves of all of the slop, the badness, the nonsense, to get it out of our system. I'm going to run through 5 honorable mentions, and then we are going to get into the top 10 worst hit songs of 2025. Bad habit, but I keep coming back like a revolving door. Said I want you less, but I just want you more. Starting with our first honorable mention. Over the last decade, Chris Stapleton has gotten a lot of credit for bringing his country music style back to a rootsier, rawer place. But in that time span, he's also released a handful of pretty beloved hit songs that are a little bit slinkier, a little bit more polished. Not that they have rattling trap drums or anything, but somewhere in the middle of what you would conventionally expect for country music. And I guess those kind of middle of the road, like tempo and instrumentation country hits are so good that it ruined them for me permanently when anyone not named Chris Stapleton is singing them, because they just kind of seem embarrassing now.
Well, this kitchen used to be a dance hall, music on and the lights off, just you.
But I would say an even bigger issue than what this song is who's singing it. And I don't have any issues with Hudson Westbrook personally. He's actually new. This is his first hit. He's a 21-year-old country singer, but that's kind of exactly the problem, isn't it? This fresh-faced 21-year-old singer delivering this, like, earnest heartbreak anthem about how empty your house feels when your, like, wife or girlfriend moves out of it.
Oh, it's just 4 empty walls where I lay my head and get no rest at all.
First of all, this guy's younger than me. Why is he singing about owning a house? Okay, I'm sure, like, studio apartment in the city, again, probably wouldn't hit the same way with country music audiences, but his age is actually a problem in more ways than one. Especially when you get to the music video and this baby-faced kid is the one that you're expecting to convey this kind of very serious, life-altering heartbreak. I think they knew that that was going to be an issue, so they cast the actual role to a much older actor. But then all Hudson has to do is stand around mugging at the camera and strumming on his guitar. And this is the least important of all of the facts, but this is an awful fucking video.
It's now just a house again.
Want to guess who else has a hit song this year? No, like seriously, like you want to guess?
Smiling cause you know I know you knew how. You better say I treat you well, I will.
Like a lot of Chris Brown slop, I wouldn't even say that I like outright hate this song. I do not find it like sonically offensive. It's more just kind of amazing that his really down the line, middle of the road R&B style has lasted decades without any meaningful evolution whatsoever. It's so boring at this point that even some of the like really bizarre lines slipped past me the first couple times I heard it, and I really had to go and like dig into this thing to hear how strange it becomes.
Trying to see where your conscience is. Can we keep this anonymous? Or you want to be monogamous? Or what?
And of course, the Bryson Tiller appearance does pretty much nothing for the song. I would say he sounds slightly more alive than when I talked about him on the worst list last year, but pretty much the only thing notable about this is how unintentionally hysterical this entire third verse is. A few years ago on the worst list, I covered Bailey Zimmerman when he had a breakthrough 2022 introduction into country music. And as it turns out, he actually will be sticking around. The biggest problem with this song is that it's kind of meant to be like inspiring. It's supposed to be like a get up 10 kind of anthem to sort of rouse and motivate, but it's so lumpy that it can't really be triumphant, and it's so churning and brutish that it can't be like earnest or authentic. Also, I think Bailey Zimmerman, whose entire country career is soaked in red flags, like how he earned this position in literal practical terms, telling his audience that the only backup plan they need is to get up and try again, is falling on insanely deaf ears.
Getting back up, that's the only backup plan you need.
Another problem with this song is that it recruits an actually good country singer as a feature on the second verse, that being Luke Combs. But that actually sees the song kind of shooting itself in the foot, because then you have to reckon with the fact that Luke Combs basically did this song already, but way better with his track Doing This.
Still be doing this if I wasn't doing this.
Which actually does pull off being grounded and earnest, because he's talking really sort of honestly and truthfully about his love and his passion and his pursuit of music, and that he would still be doing this even if he wasn't doing this. And it's 1 billion times better than Backup Plan.
That's the only backup plan you need.
Oh, we should probably just tackle all of these at once. Let's go ahead and get them out of the way. Let's go ahead and take a real quick trip back to my 2024 Worst Hits of the Year video.
But in 2024, Taylor flopped all over again.
Does that sound familiar?
This year, at the absolute height of Taylor Swift's fame, she dropped a catastrophe.
Sound familiar?
A record whose lyrics were so bad that fans listening to leaked copies were circulating lyrics around for days in advance of the release that fans could not believe were true.
Sound familiar? Here's the difference.
But in a weird way, it's kind of coming from a place of appreciation. Watching the biggest album of the year also be the biggest disaster reminded me of why I love pop music, why I love stan communities, why I love talking about music on the internet. And so I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, have to say thank you to Taylor Swift.
Torture Poets Department is, at the very least, the kind of disaster that you can at least have a good laugh about, and it doesn't really leave a bad taste in your mouth. But there's absolutely nothing fun about Life of a Showgirl. And speaking of,
we make our own love, a bad sign, it's all good, I ain't gotta knock on wood.
I thought this one was actually worthy of its own honorable mention segment. And here's why.
Forgive me, it sounds cocky, hypnotize me and open my eyes. Girls, I don't need to catch the bouquet, to know a hard rock is on the way. The curse on me was broken by your magic wand. New high, manhood. Redwood tree, it ain't hard to see. His love was the key that opened my thighs.
Fucking kill me. And that's it. 5-ish honorable mentions out of the way. Let's get into the top 10. Starting, of course, At number 10, there's only going to be one Morgan Wallen song on this list.
Morgan Wallen, bitches, biggest shit in the world. Suck on that.
Kick the bottom, kick the bag, scratch the Broadway off the map.
Morgan Wallen was one of the biggest punching bags of the year for music critics, which makes sense. He's the second biggest artist in all of music, and the second biggest punching bag, for that matter. Plus, he released an even more bloated, ridiculously long new album that had pop critics saving numerous spots on their year-end lists for him. And even the kind of people who don't go out of their way to cover a whole ton of big country records or just popular music in general were lining up to hate on Morgan Wallen, which kind of surprised me because I don't actually hate most of his hit songs from this year.
She said, you don't want this heart, boy, it's already broke. Told me everything she touched just goes up in smoke.
And don't get me wrong, it's not like he's going to be lighting up the best list or anything. I would say the only real highlight from the record Falling Apart wasn't even a big enough hit to qualify, which is probably good for me. I'm tired of embarrassing myself talking about Morgan Wallen on the best list. But for the most of the rest of these tracks, yeah, they just came off as kind of boring, more of a shrug than any kind of stern hatred. Except for a handful of times across this very long record, which is mostly filled with Morgan Wallen groveling, apologizing, and trying to drink his way through a bad breakup, where he cuts himself off to pretend it was actually her fault all along.
But it turned out me and you together's why it took so long. Cause I got better since you got gone.
I think the song actually gets off to a kind of decent start. I don't hate it immediately. The instrumental is certainly inviting compared to some of the country trap slop that Wallen serves up on the rest of this album. And I think the opening verse is actually kind of modest. Morgan kind of confesses to the fact that he's not perfect, but he is also just feeling better in the wake of the breakup, which is a thing that happens. And then the chorus starts.
Swear it was like, I'll be damned, I'm finally back to being who I am. When we were over, it was overnight.
Which is, of course, the point in the song that Morgan Wallen starts pretending that literally every single thing wrong with him and his entire life was the result of the evil woman that had him trapped in this relationship, and that everything became better literally the instant that they broke up. As he says, he got better when she got gone. If you haven't listened to Morgan Wallen's new record, which, why would you? Believe me when I tell you that the bulk of these 2 hours are spent listening to Morgan Wallen try to drink himself out of his own flaws, which he is regularly and routinely admitting on nearly every song. Then he slips this song in there when he's pretending that after the breakup that dominates this entire record, he's suddenly, instantly sleeping better, drinking less, reconnecting with friends, reconnecting with his mom. Who the fuck is buying this?
My friends you hated ain't said one word. Besides, you got better since you lost her.
And the last straw was the fucking music video that this song got a few months ago. Morgan Wallen stumbling away from this car looking like he's barely alive while the girl gets out pretty much completely unharmed. This music video is the kind of thing men should get bullied for. I am dead serious. If you listen to Morgan Wallen's new album, I'm the Problem, and come away from it thinking that anyone else is the problem, I don't think you were listening close enough. But honestly, I don't really blame you. Number 9. Even if you don't really follow the charts that closely, there's a good chance that you probably know that 2025 was a abysmal year for the top of the Hot 100, with songs moving at such a glacial pace that Billboard literally had to change the rules to get rid of tracks that were still lingering around from 2024. More on that later. But all of that just contributes to how insanely inexplicable it is that one song managed to buck the trend and break through all of it and become the biggest hit of the year. for some reason.
You're taking me out of the ordinary. I want you laying me down till we're dead and buried.
Yep, here he is, the biggest breakthrough star in music in 2025, former TikToker and Hype House member Alex Warren, who actually did have some hits break through back in 2024. The track Burning Down, I wouldn't say I loved it, but I certainly didn't hate it. He still can't sing, but the song has a little bit of muscle to it. The same cannot be said about Ordinary.
They say the holy water's watered down, and this town's lost its faith. Our colors will fade.
If you've ever seen Alex Warren talking about his process or that Hype House documentary they made, it's really clear that he thinks about engagement and word choice and creating as massive a reach and appeal for his content as possible, which actually makes quite a bit of sense because Ordinary sounds like if search engine optimization was a song. It's this weird soupy blend of pop and indie and country that isn't really any of them. There's a little bit of folk in there too, and it's come cut with these just lowest common denominator, mass appeal, generic, forgettable love song lyrics. And what results is a song that basically casts the widest net possible because it's about as fundamentally boring as music is capable of being.
The angels up in the clouds are jealous, know what we found. Something so heavenly.
So yeah, maybe he pulled off the song for everybody, but it's at the expense of it sounding like it was made by nobody. Alex Warren is the diet, sugar-free version of himself, and he's not even interesting enough for me to muster up any hatred at him. All I can really do for this song is just shrug. So earlier today, and I do mean like today, like the day that I am recording this, I did something that I didn't think I was going to. I watched K-pop Demon Hunters. This film has been a massive breakout success this year, and after hearing basically this entire soundtrack litter the Hot 100 all summer, I was super duper familiar with these songs, and I wanted to watch the movie partially to put some of it in context that I had never really had before, and partly because this fan base is fucking ferocious. And I really wanted to make sure I had all my ducks in a row before I said what I'm about to say.
You're all I can think of. Every drop I drink up. You're my soda pop, my little soda pop.
I shouldn't care about this. I don't know why I care about it. Like, this is a children's movie. Obviously, it's a little bit of a patronizing song if you're not a teenage girl who's a fan of K-pop Demon Hunters, and I actually like most of the songs on the soundtrack, specifically the ones made by an actual K-pop band, but honestly, I like Golden doesn't even really bother me that much. And neither does Your Idol, the other song by the boy band from the film. I don't hate that one either. But something about Soda Pop just makes me cringe until all of my bones are just a fine powder.
Every sip makes me want more, yeah. Like a last night, 'cause you got it like that. Take a big bite, want another bite, yeah.
And it's not even about one specific part. Okay, well, okay, there is one specific part.
Make me wanna flip the top. Humble come make you hit the spot. Every little drip and drop, fizz and pop. That's what I'm told, that it's getting hot.
It's more so that it reminds me of the absolute worst kind of boy band pandering, the kind of super duper generic platitudes that are clearly boardroom designed to have as much mass appeal as possible so that any youthfully ignorant fan can graft themselves onto the song for marketing purposes in a frankly embarrassing and arguably even kind of weirdly predatory way. And given that the song was a massive hit, it clearly worked. But when I hear this song, this is all I can think of.
I need that one thing, and you got that one thing.
Honestly, I think you can kind of even make an argument that the movie itself sort of makes a joke out of how generic this song is, so as to literally attract and harvest the souls of anyone susceptible to it. And boy, when you look at some of these lyrics, is that a fitting role for it to play?
Cause you got it like that. Pour a lot and don't you stop till my soda pop fizzles out. I waited so long for a taste of soda.
This song is less than nothing. Next.
You're my soda pop, gotta take every drop.
So earlier I mentioned that Billboard literally had to change the rules specifically to annihilate 3 songs that had lingered in the top 10 for an embarrassing amount of time. Those songs being Beautiful Things by Benson Boone, Lose Control by Teddy Swims, and A Bar Song by Shaboozey. Of these 3 songs, the only one that I ever even enjoyed in really any capacity is Shaboozey's A Bar Song. And though I know that this song is a little bit divisive, one thing that you can't really argue is the success that it's had and that Shaboozey has had following it. In the wake of a huge cosign from Beyonce on Cowboy Carter, Shaboozey has scored a massive hit song, a smash hit record, and a seemingly instantly fixated place within the pantheon of country music, trying to drag itself out of its embarrassing racist past. In other words, it's been nothing but good news for Shaboozey. Or so you'd think.
I need some good news. Send me sipping on cold truth. Nobody knows what I'm going through.
The first time I heard A Bar Song, I thought it was novel and kind of cute. A country track that samples Jaquan's Tipsy, or at least interpolates it. It doesn't really make sense, but it's novel, kind of fun, kind of cute. The 1 billionth time I heard it, after its run on the Hot 100 top 10 stretched well over a year, I fucking hated it. Without that novelty, I find Shaboozey drastically less charming, which is how we arrive at Shaboozey basically confirming that he's gonna stick around with yet another hit song this year in Good News.
Love keeps knocking, but I just stay home. I ain't picking no flowers for the season I'm sown.
The problem is that you need a lot of charm to pull off one of these being famous and successful is actually really hard kind of songs, and when Shaboozey tries to convey his loneliness, I'm not exactly sure I'm buying it. And don't get me wrong, it could be a lot worse. He doesn't take the route that some rap and pop stars can't help but do and humble brag his way through the entire thing, but I think the slip-ups start to happen from pretty much the opening lyrics of the song.
Man, what a hell of a year it's been. Keep on bluffing, but I just can't win.
The idea that Shaboozey, who has had a massively successful last 18 months or so, even longer than that at this point, can't win, is a framing device that pretty much ruins the song right out of the gate, although he doubles down on it, and it gets even worse on the hook when he claims that the devil wouldn't even walk in his shoes. He literally makes a lyrical reference to singing the blues. And I know he means that as a metaphor. He's not talking about literally singing the blues, but I don't know, maybe reminding everyone that you're a famous and super successful singer is not the best way to garner sympathy in this song.
Trying to get away from me, oh me, still stuck singing these blues.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to downplay the struggles Shaboozey is experiencing as a black artist in a racist genre. That's just not what this song is about. If he was going to go that route, say something meaningful, name names, make people uncomfortable. But this song is so tepid, and it's because that's not what it's about. The whole point of this song is that being famous is actually really hard because sometimes you have feelings. And the soupy, emotionless, underwritten lyrics and performance of the song makes selling that already hard task pretty much impossible.
All I really need is a little good news.
Speaking of country music racism, let me take you through a quick non-controversy that happened earlier this year that you may not have heard about. The Grammys announced that this year they would be presenting a brand new category in the country music genre, the Best Traditional Country Album. And then, without any evidence whatsoever, a bunch of people on the internet leapt to the conclusion that this is somehow a reaction to Beyonce's Cowboy Carter win last year, and that the lines would be drawn on sort of weirdly, profanely racist parallels. And, of course, none of that turned out to be true. And a lot of people, myself included, would make the argument that the new category is actually overdue, especially when country music these days includes Jelly Roll and Post Malone. And then the nominations came out, and it's got Willie Nelson and his son, unsurprisingly, plus a few really, really great country singers that I like a lot, Margot Price and Charlie Crockett. And oh yeah, there's also...
I sing like a baby. I never show a play for work.
This is kind of an imprecise description if you're not a country music listener, but there's a sort of style and a poise and a presentation of country song that feels like it's making fun of you personally for listening to it, with dumb lyrics, really lumpy instrumentation that just kind of feels like a singer just sticking their tongue out at you through a song. That's what it felt like the first time that I had to listen to Zach Top's I Never Lie. And as the year went on, it got worse and worse and worse.
Well, it's been some time. You still look like an angel.
And before you tell me that I'm not getting the joke, unfortunately, I understand exactly what Zach is trying to do with this song. The point is that he's telling an ex that he broke up with, that he's actually moving on. Things are great. He's moving upwards, doing fine, not thinking about her too much. But he sings it with this clownish sarcasm that makes it so obvious right out of the gate that none of it is true. In fact, I would say he's so obvious that it's like genuinely patronizing, and it's made 1,000 times worse by how surgically unfunny the song is.
Well, I met somebody too. She's a model out in LA.
A big reason I hate this is that anyone who was trying to pull off this lie in earnest would not be sarcastic about it. They would, in fact, really badly want to be believed. And if this song was in the hands of a subtler songwriter and vocalist who could pull it off in a way that was sneakily subversive rather than patently ridiculous, I think there's something really interesting in that potential failure. Instead, what we get is this fucking idiot who is asking us to believe that at the same time, he's both so insecure that he needs to lie to his ex to try to convince her that he's doing better than he really is, but also so nonchalant that the whole thing is just one fun, sarcastic joke, one playful, self-deprecating humiliation ritual. And in listening to the way that the dopey fucking singing and the terrible unfunny lyrics and the lumpy patronizing instrumental all come together, it makes my head hurt. It gives me a headache in my head. Number 5. Let me play you something real quick.
Just one bitch with 3 baths, I could shit all day. I got small tits, 2 nips, you could suck right there.
That song is called Swamp Bitches by Doechii and Rico Nasty. It's from Doechii's 2022 EP, She, Her, That Bitch, which I reviewed at the time. Big fan of it, especially this song where Doechii and Rico just go back to back, seeming like they're competing about who can have the fastest, fieriest, most intense flows. It is awesome. And the reason I'm playing you that is threefold. 1, to tell you that I've known about Doechii longer than you. 2, that I've liked Doechii longer than you. And 3, that I was hoping her eventual, arguably inevitable breakthrough would feel like a victory lap. It has not.
Anxiety, keep on trying me. I feel it quietly, trying to silence me. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's still been great to see Doechii get her flowers. If you listen to songs like Nissan Altima, for example, you see that she is still a fucking flame spitter, and her bold, big, uncompromising personality is so refreshing in such a corporatized world of pop and rap star slop. But for some reason, the songs of hers that break through and become hits just feature her at her very most annoying. Her 2024 hit Denial is a River sounds like one of those really cringy character interludes from like a mid-2000s rap album, and it was mostly for lingering affection for Doechii and respect for her talent that it didn't land on the honorable mentions list of my worst hits last year, but affection doesn't even come close to carrying Anxiety.
Solo, no mojo. I bounce back, no pogo. Unhappy, no homo.
Yeah, because nothing makes sense anymore, her second hit is a song from 2019 that was dug up by a rapper a few years ago and used as a hook in 2023, and then the virality of those two combined led Doechii to re-record the song at the request of her fans. And they were right, I guess, in the sense that it became a hit, but it also became probably the most hated song of 2025. And I don't even know where to start. This sample of Gautier's Somebody That I Used to Know that they literally do nothing with is just embarrassing. And similar to the last song, Anxiety has a chorus that feels like it's making fun of you personally just for listening to it.
Somebody's watching me, is my anxiety.
And the lyrics on this song are so devoid of any meaningful context or like intention behind the song's theme of anxiety. Like they're just syllables that go well together. Like this song could be in a made up language that Doechii invented just to bounce the syllables off of each other in a similar way, and it would be about as meaningful to the theme of anxiety. It also, of course, like several of her annoying songs, has these weird interludes where she's doing annoying voices for side characters, like she's a 2012 YouTuber. And if you're sick of me saying the word anxiety, Jesus Christ, listen to the goddamn song, because she beats that word into complete meaninglessness. I am checked out around the 50th time she says it, and there's another 50 more to follow. This has to be an out for 2026. Let's buck the trend and finally give people a good goddamn Doechii hit song so they can see what she's capable of. Number 4. One thing that's a little bit unfortunate about the kind of stringent rules that I use for these lists is that artists can become really popular on genre charts and have sustained success and mid-level chart hits and become award show staples, get really popular without ever actually qualifying for my year-end lists. And while that's way more frustrating on the best list when great songs that I really want to talk about fall just short of achieving the chart success that they would need to qualify as hits, over here on the worst list, it sometimes means that the very worst culprits can get away for far longer than they should. What I'm saying is these next two entries are a long time coming.
Singing girls just wanna have fun at the top of her lungs. Don't even know she about to wreck someone.
This fucking idiot, Russell Dickerson, has been stinking up the Hot 100 since like 2017, and finally this song happened to me. Ended up landing on the year-end Hot 100, which means I can finally unload years and years worth of frustration with one of the dopiest dopes in country music. This song sees Russell, who looks like this in the music video, by the way. Gonna leave this up here just for reference. Seeing a girl in a bar who is clearly working her way through a breakup. She's doing it with a lot of alcohol, Morgan Wallen style. And in all of his poetic elegance, Russell Dickerson decides, yep, it's sex time.
And we did that what's your name thing. Where you from and what's your favorite drink? She says shut up, come and dance with me.
So I know what you're asking. I know what you're dying to know. Why is the song called Happen to Me? That's a weird name. What's happening to him? Surprise! It's fucking millennial slop. Yep. True that. These two are adulting. They're doing a thing. Look at these fucking dance moves.
I'm in trouble now, ain't even trying to get out. So come on, baby, take me down, 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 yeah.
Of course, the real mustache finger tattoo of all of this, the real icing on the bacon-shaped cake, is when they get to the actual title drop part of the chorus.
Don't know what happened tonight, don't know what happened last week, don't know what happened to her, but she about to happen to me.
Of course, what beautiful young woman drowning her sorrows in a dive bar would not want to be the next thing to happen to Russell Dickerson? Oh my god, and the girls just want to have fun. Interpolation. Fuck this hack, dude. Here's a weird reference point. This kind of like tongue-in-cheek, half sarcasm, half singing thing that Russell Dickerson is doing is actually a dead ringer for the ultra-millennial indie rock band The Hold Steady.
I know we make plans to meet in Spokane, but the way I make plans, you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
The difference is when Craig Finn does this, his reference-driven wit and awareness of this air of kind of cynical irony plays really, really well into this style of performance. But when Russell Dickerson does it, he sounds like a goofy chud trying to pick up girls at the bar with pickup lines from Adam Sandler movies, and everyone around him can tell how cringy and embarrassing this is, except for him. That's what this song feels like. Number 3. Speaking of settling scores, here's a controversy that you might actually have heard about this year. This pop singer with a real hard country slant named Jessie Murph dropped this song, 1965, which really romanticizes the idea of retro love in the 1960s with every bit of the toxic implication that comes with it.
I might get a little slap, but you wouldn't hit me on Snapchat.
To be completely fair to the song, it is definitely sarcastic. Though, if you were unfamiliar with the song or with Jessie Murph and heard it on the radio and didn't catch that, I wouldn't blame you because the execution is so terrible. Watching the music video helps, although the music video, good lord, introduces a whole handful of new problems all on its own. Jesus Christ. This wasn't even the worst thing Jessie Murph did this year.
Boy, mad at you. I had to get back at you, yeah.
Do I even need to linger on this one? Like, listen to her fucking singing. Listen to the fucking thumping beat on this song. This might be the most obviously bad sounding song I've ever heard in my life. And I know it's pretty much impossible for anyone to tolerate this song long enough to actually listen to and engage with any of the lyrics, but take my word for it when I tell you that they make no fucking sense. The whole framing of this song is her saying that she's not actually mad at an ex. Sound familiar? And is like trying to flex on him to show him how well she's doing. And literally the very first flex on the song is her buying this mansion, but for some reason it's in this like sad, like eerie slow motion kind of dreariness.
I just bought a mansion in Malibu.
Read these lyrics and tell me what they mean. I am dead fucking serious. I'm putting a bounty out on these lyrics. If you can go down in the comments and give me a cohesive explanation of what these lyrics mean, I will send you real, genuine, like, money.
And I know you know what's going on. I'm going home, I'ma take it off, I'ma strip down your bonds.
This is abuse of pronouns, and I'm transgender, I can say that. This song fucking sucks, and I hate Jessie Murph, and the only silver lining in all of this is that it was just barely successful enough that I finally get to fucking lay into her on the worst list. Number 2, They Can't Make Me Hate Benson Boone.
Ladies and gentlemen, Benson Boone.
Even though Benson Boone broke through last year on the back of one of the worst hit songs of this entire decade, he does seem genuinely content and happy to just be able to sing his songs and to do his little backflips. He's also even kind of willing to poke fun at himself for some of his artistic shortcomings. Plus, unlike a lot of celebrities, I've never heard anything from anyone that would indicate to me that he's privately some kind of terrible person. So, for all of those reasons, I can't really help but pull for him to succeed, even though he's never made a song I liked. So let's see what his 2025 was like.
I'm sorry I'm here for someone else, but it's good to see your face.
Okay, I don't hate this song. I mean, I think the chorus kind of drags, but honestly, I think the way that the intro starts up and it revs into the first verse is kind of exciting. I wouldn't hate hearing this on the radio. Did he do anything else?
There's nothing colder than your shoulder when you're dragging me along like you do. Like you do.
Honestly, I don't hate this so far either. That bass line is pretty magnetic. I like that. Is Benson Boone fine? Like, is he fine? Is he good now?
Once you know what my love's gonna feel like, nothing else will feel right.
Excuse me?
Moonbeam ice cream, taking off your blue jeans, dancing at the movies.
What the fuck?
Cause it feels so mystical, magical, oh baby, cause once you know.
I feel like even putting the song on the list is kind of taking it a little bit too seriously. Like, even Benson himself knows how bad this is, and I sort of have a begrudging respect for someone willing to do something so boldly annoying. But then I remember that I'm someone who had to listen to this bad, annoying song over and over again all fucking year, and at that point, all I can say is it's a goddamn miracle that this thing is not number one.
But I wouldn't mind it if you give me just a little bit of something we can work it with, but all you do is push me out.
And what's kind of amazing to me about this is that it's just as bad and obnoxious as Beautiful Things, but in an entirely new way. Like, Beautiful Things is using its screaming to convey this kind of raw desperation, this kind of pleading agony. And then you got Mystical Magical over here, which is like this kind of glamorous mess of 80s pastiche that's like loosely fairy tale adjacent about how good of a hypothetical lover Benson Boone is. And if you can take this song seriously after the first bridge, I don't even know how that's possible. You're more built for this than I am.
Once you know what my love's gonna feel like. I've got a perfect puzzle for you.
I'm not even mad at this. I mean, it sucks, but it sucks in the most harmless way possible. Yeah. If Benson Boone is going to continue to creatively find new ways to suck on single after single, then I look forward to keeping up with him every year on the worst list. Number 1, stick with me. I'm going to show you a clip from the show Mad Men. It's a pretty popular one. I'm guessing you've already seen it.
What do I care? I got 1 million of them. 1 million.
Good. I guess I'm lucky you work for me.
I feel bad for you.
I don't think about you at all.
People love this clip. It is the centerpiece of every, like, Don Draper badass moments compilation. But I think without its context, it kind of reads all wrong. If you're not familiar with the show and you see this clip, it looks like Don is speaking from a place of confidence and authority, like a self-fulfilled declaration that he earned his place of power through merit and can use and trust his intuition to only deploy empathy when it's necessary. Here's what's actually happening. In context, Don Draper has spent pretty much his entire adult life groveling at the foot of power. He has climbed his way to this position by pulling the right strings, kissing the right asses, and has been rewarded with a great material wealth at the cost of all of his humanity. But achieving the level of success that he's achieved, the way that he did it, doesn't inspire any self-confidence. What it inspires is fear. Don is afraid that his lies will unravel, that he'll be exposed as a fraud, and that someone more deserving of his place will rise up and take it. In this scene, he's scared of Ginsberg. He's scared of someone who hasn't lost their soul yet and all of the power that retaining it comes with. Don is not badass in this clip. Despite his position of power and authority, he's wrought with insecurity. He's ashamed of the corners he cut along the way, and he's losing faith in his own creative merit. He's scared. Do you see where I'm going with this?
But it's actually sweet. All the time you've spent on me, it's honestly wild.
Once again, I really don't think I have to say much. This was probably the most universally hated song of the year. Actually Romantic is actually embarrassing. It's a shame Pitchfork got to that first because it's exactly what I would have written. In case you're one of the 3 people who don't know, this song is a Charli XCX diss track, and I'm dead serious when I say diss track.
I heard you call me boring Barbie when the coke's got you brave.
Now, this doesn't come completely out of nowhere. Last year, Charli XCX released her album Brat. You might have heard about it. And on the song Sympathy with a Knife, she expresses a vulnerability and an insecurity that comes from within her in being around Taylor Swift, one of the biggest pop stars of our time, while they're both dating members of the band The 1975.
Some girl taps my insecurities. Don't know if it's real or if I'm spiraling.
Now, I love this song. I praised it when I originally reviewed Brat, and I totally understand why being a pop star herself and then suddenly being thrust into the presence of Taylor Swift would leave Charli introspecting. But here's one crucial detail. Sympathy with a Knife is not a Taylor Swift diss track. Taylor is alluded to, though not named in the song, but it is about Charli. It's about her insecurities, her relationship to womanhood, and the way that it influences and inspires her own art. And like much of the deep cuts on Brat, it is surprisingly vulnerable. And you would think that's the kind of thing Taylor Swift would recognize, given that in 20 years, the only thing she has ever been able to write about is herself. But on Actually Romantic, she finally definitively proves something that anyone paying attention already knows. She doesn't just only write about herself, she only thinks about herself.
No man has ever loved me like you do.
She stares down this portrait of genuinely earnest vulnerability, the likes of which we rarely get from pop stars of this caliber, and literally all she can say is,
"Wait, is this fucking play about us?"
Just on concept alone, that's actually enough to make this one of the worst songs of the year, but the disses that Taylor Swift eventually delivers makes it infinitely worse. She immediately shoots herself in the foot in the opening lyrics by claiming that Charli calls her boring Barbie, with the problem being that boring Barbie's actually hilarious and gets at exactly the flaws that Taylor has as an artist. She also says this.
Like a toy chihuahua barking at me from a tiny purse. That's how much it hurts.
Which actually reminds me of another one of the worst disses I've ever heard in my life. One that was actually aimed at Taylor herself.
Tiger, don't lose no sleep. Don't need opinions from a shellfish or a sheep.
But of course, the biggest problem is that Taylor Swift tries to take this very cutie pie framing of the song, pretending she's taking the high ground, she's above it all, she doesn't care. She actually thinks it's kind of sweet that Charli's thinking about her. And in my opinion, this is what makes Actually Romantic so special. Because I think it takes a really, really unique blend of ego and insecurity to not be dissed by someone, think about them so much regardless that you feel like you have to write a diss track, and then patronize them for thinking about you too much. Taylor, I do not know how to tell you this, but Charli XCX is not thinking about you. you're thinking about her.
It sounded nasty, but it feels like you're flirting with me.
For the second year in a row, Taylor Swift served up a pop disaster that ran miles around any of her contemporaries. Taylor started a fight with no opponent and lost. She's really, really invested in everyone knowing that she doesn't care about this. But unfortunately for Taylor Swift, we've all been paying attention. For 20 years now, she has been showered constantly in uncritical praise from her rabid stan army and from cynical, greedy industry executives, and it has sanded off all of the humanity that once existed in her. But the one thing it can't get rid of is her extreme insecurity in being Taylor Swift. The biggest star in all of music also happens to be the most self-conscious. And in trying to hilariously pretend she's not and failing, she lost a songwriting battle to the girl who made club classics. And I can't think of anything more embarrassing than that. That's it, angels. Thank you so much for watching. Down in the comments, tell me what your least favorite song of the year, hit song of the year was. Tell me what I'm crazy for putting on this list or for not putting on this list. And hopefully look forward to checking out the best list when that drops in a few weeks so I can actually give out some praise to some deserving songs. Thank you for watching. Mwah.